Hey everybody, I don't know if anybody's gonna start watching this at all, but I figured I haven't used Periscope yet, and I can't get the video set up to work in a way that's not at all, or that actually works. So instead I'm gonna go ahead and try to Periscope this. I apologize for the shaky cam. I guess my hands shake like a crazy person, but I wanted to show off Build the Robots and give everybody an idea of what it kind of looks like. So, this is a setup. Let me try to get way out here. So this right here is the setup for a two-player game of Build the Robots. The resources are all over there. And then the main area of the different cards, those are all the different continents in the center. And then one player set up here, and then there's another one on the other side of the table. So what does one player have set up? Well, first you've got your recharge area. This is where all your robots will go back to whenever they've been used to either conquer a city or break a continent. These are your robots, so steel robot, plastic robot. In order to save component pieces, they're all double-sided, but there's no real way to convert one to the other right now in the game. There used to be, but there isn't now. So these are just craft foam. I just bought some craft foam popsicle sticks and cut them up to make them. So steel, plastic robots, recharge area. Reference card, this just kind of gives you a quick idea of how your turn works. Thank you. I really appreciate that. My beard is one of my finest creations. Hopefully this right here will rank up there with it once it's done. So here's my deck. And then my starting setup. So this is the assembly line right here. So I start with two dead-end jobs in play. Everybody does. And dead-end job, if we zoom in here a little bit so you can figure out how to read the cards, dead-end job is a really basic card. So it's 0 conquer cost because it's a starter card, and in this one, starter 1 just means that it's the first player's starter deck. All of the cards, like if I go up here to South America, tell you which deck they're a part of. The version that I have is colored. The print and play is all gray like this, but they all still have the location for the deck in the center. So conquer cost, title, the deck they belong to, their effect, and then if they have a cost, like for example this purchase resources, the cost to activate is up in this top section. So dead-end job doesn't cost anything, you just go to work and get a money, is basically how that works. So that's your starting setup. You'll also have a hand of 3 cards. So in this case I have, let me spread these out, 2 additional dead-end jobs, which is pretty typical since it's the most common card in the starter deck, and then a purchase resources, which purchase resources, as you can see, requires money. Man, I really wish this would focus. So 2 money will get you a plastic, or 4 money will get you a steel. Steel robots, to go back here, steel robots are worth 2 points at the end of the game, whereas plastic robots are only worth 1. Steel robots also have a strength of 2 when it comes to conquering things, and we'll go into how that works in just a second. So, looking at the reference card, what do you do on your turn? Well, the first thing you do is you play a card to the leftmost spot of your assembly line, then you trigger all of the effects on cards in your assembly line from left to right, discard your rightmost card, draw a card to your hand, and then pass it to the other player. So, the turns are really snappy. Like, I wanted a deck builder where you weren't sitting there waiting for somebody to take their 30-minute turn of where they draw all their cards and play all their cards. So, it's really quick. So what can you do? So one thing I could do is I could go ahead and I could put a third dead-end job here at the beginning of this. Okay? So put a dead-end job in the rightmost card, and then it will trigger, giving me a money. This will trigger, giving me a money. This will trigger, giving me a money. So I earned 3 money on that turn. And then the rightmost card here will fall off to my discard pile. These will both shift over, and I will draw a card to my hand and add it to the other 2 cards that I have. And that's my turn. So it's literally play a card, trigger all 3 cards, 1 card falls off, slide these 2 down, draw a card to refill back up to 3 cards. So you always have 3 cards in hand, and your engine will always be 3 cards long. two cards in between turns. So obviously these two will both trigger the next time I play a card here. So what's the other thing I can do? Well, like, say I didn't do that on my initial turn, and I have this same setup. Let me put this third dead-end job back. And I have the same setup. I can't purchase resources right now because I start with no money. Like, I start with the ability to generate 2 money in play, but I don't have any money. So this purchase resources I can't actually trigger because I can't pay the money cost. Well, one of the things you can do with any card in your deck, regardless of what it is you can actually play it face down into your engine. Okay, into your assembly line. So I play this guy face down, and then I have the 2 dead-end jobs. So when this card triggers, what it allows me to do is actually take one of my robots, one of my workers, and put them out onto a continent. Okay? So let's find a good one. So I'm going to use my steel robot here, who again is 2 strength, and we can put him in Africa. Okay? On the little Africa card here. And just to give you a quick summary of of what the continent looks like. So there's the card where you actually place your workers. Again, you don't have to declare what your workers are doing here. They just go here, and then that's what they do. Let me get my finger out from in front of the camera. So the Africa card is just kind of where your workers go. The deck of cards, there are 12 cards in each deck, in each continent deck, and 3 of them are laid out in a tableau. These are the ones that you could purchase. So, like, I could get this bank robbery here, which, again, conquer cost is 2. It's part of the Africa deck, and it gives me 2 money. So a bank robbery is better than my dead-end job, which makes a lot of sense. There's also buy batteries here. Buy batteries takes 1 to conquer. It's 2 money to activate. However, it lets me recharge a robot, and we'll get into why that's good in just a second. And then there's another bank robbery here. Africa's not very diverse right now. So I put my steel robot up here in Africa. So the steel robot is worth 2 strength. So I could do one of 2 things. I could either leave him here, in which case I am looking to break the continent. So breakpoint. So this breakpoint card right here goes up to 15, and it tracks how much total conquer cost there is in that continent. So in this case, we have 2 for this bank robbery, 1 for this buy batteries, and 2 for this bank robbery for a total of 5. So we mark 5. Okay? If there are ever 5 strength of robots in Africa, then this actually breaks. And when a continent breaks, all 3 of these cards that are here in the tableau will actually be collected and will go to a trash pile, okay, or a score pile, okay, for whoever it is that has the majority of robots there. So only the person who has the majority gets it, and it only occurs at the beginning of their turn. If somebody were to tie them for majority, then it doesn't break, and now there's a little bit of bidding back and forth. Am I going to commit more workers there, or am I just going to let them go ahead and break it? And all cities are worth points equal to their conquer cost at the end of the game. So this bank robbery, regardless of where it's at, whether it's in my trash pile or in my deck, is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. Again, the idea is to have the most victory points. Hello, anybody who's joining. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the Build the Robots intro. So the cities are worth a number of points equal to their conquer cost. So this bank robbery will be worth 2. Okay? So breaking continents is one way to get points. You don't get the abilities of the cards since they don't go into your deck. They instead just kind of go into your trash pile. But it's useful in that you can clear out the tableau. The other option is I put this steel worker up here in Africa. He's 2 strength. On my turn, at any point during my turn, I can reclaim this guy. So I pick my steel worker up, and he goes over to my recharge card and hangs out there until a couple of things happen, and we'll go into that in a second. And I can buy one of these cards that's worth 2 strength or less. So I'm going to take this bank robbery, which has a conquer cost of 2, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my deck. And it goes immediately on top of my deck. Okay? It doesn't go into a discard pile. It goes immediately to the top of my deck. So I place a worker out there using this face-down card. Remember, any card face-down lets you place workers. I put my steel worker out there in Africa. I bought myself a bank robbery. It goes to my discard pile. Then this dead-end job triggers to give me a money. and then this one triggers to give me a money, so I now have 2 money. This dead-end job falls off and goes into my discard pile, and then both of these slide over. Okay? Then I draw back up, and the card that I draw is that bank robbery that I just got. So now my hand is a bank robbery that I just got and 2 dead-end jobs. Okay? And play passes to the next player. Now, there's something we have to do up here in the continent as well. So you'll see that we purchased this bank robbery that was in Africa. Well, it doesn't exist anymore, and it doesn't get refilled immediately. Instead, we take the conquer cost of the remaining cards, in this case the 1 for buy batteries and the 2 for this bank robbery, and we adjust the break point to 3. So now, 3 strength of workers in Africa will break this continent, and these will all go into the majority holder's score pile. Okay? If this continent is broken, like all these cards go away, then we refill and we adjust the break point for the new 3 cards. If all of these cards are purchased, we do the same thing. So these cards will sit here. If this deck goes away, like if we get rid of everything and we get rid of the last card, Africa is completely conquered. Nobody can go there anymore. And all of the end condition of the game is that 3 of these continents end up looking like Africa. Basically, 3 of them are gone completely. And it can be any 3, and it doesn't matter whether the cards were purchased or conquered. If 3 of them go away, that's the end of the game. Again, the next turn would, let's say I still have this bank robbery. So the next turn, I would be able to place 1 card at the front of my assembly line. I would get 2 money from the bank robbery. I would get to place another worker. In this case, I only have plastic guys, so I'm going to go ahead and place 1 in South America. And in South America, we don't have anything that costs 1. Plastic workers cost only 1 strength, so there's nothing I can buy here. So he'll just sit here until I either move him to somewhere else, or until I choose to either purchase something or this continent breaks. When a continent breaks, whoever has the majority, all of their workers go back to the recharge pile. Everybody else stays there for the next suite of cards that come out. So the person who has the majority gets the points, but everybody else still has strength there to purchase whatever new comes up. So, recharging robots. So how do you get your robots back? Well, there's a couple of ways. First, this card, Buy Batteries here, lets you pay money to recharge a robot. There's already also a card in here called Solar Panels that just automatically lets you recharge a robot, but you kind of have to conquer those to add them to your deck. So the primary way that you get your workers back is whenever your deck runs out. So whenever you go to draw a card to your hand of 2 cards and you can't, you go through a pretty simple process. So the first thing is you take your discard pile, not your hand. No card in your hand is eligible. But you take your discard pile and you choose one of the cards in your discard pile, like say this dead-end job, and you trash it. You put it in the same trash pile that you throw your broken continent cards into. So it's worth points at the end of the game. In this case, dead-end job is a starter card, so it isn't worth points. But it's now out of your deck. You then shuffle your deck and form a new deck, and you'll draw your new card. So you automatically cull a card every time you go through your deck. However, you also get all of your workers back from your recharge area. So anytime you hit the end of your deck, all of your robots come back and start over ready to use. So you have a couple of options. You can either try to go through your deck as many times as possible to bring your workers back, or you can use cards like the Buy Batteries to recharge your workers over and over again and keep using the same workers multiple times. So that's kind of the gist of how it works. So a player's entire turn is play 1 card to the front of your assembly line, trigger all 3 cards in your assembly line, the 3rd card falls off, you draw a new card to your hand to replace the one that you played, and it moves to the next player. And we just kind of go through that, adding cities to our decks, or breaking continents for points, until 3 of the continents have been eliminated, and then we total up points, and that's the end of the game. The only other points in the game are steel workers are 2. The steel robots are 2 points at the end of the game, and the plastic ones are 1. Everything else, all the other points in the game will come from the cities that you've conquered or the cities that you've broken whenever a continent is broken. So you can either add the card to your deck and actually use it, or you can add it directly to your score pile and not have it clog up your deck. Either way, purchasing is easier, obviously. They're all relatively cheap. The most expensive cards in the game are 5 strength, so a minimum of 3 robots to get. But that's build the robots, like, in a nutshell. That's kind of how it works. Again, I couldn't figure out how to film this. I'm sorry for the shaky cam. My hands apparently shake like crazy. But that's the overall setup. And again, 2 players over here. It actually plays 2 to 4. Right now there's no difference as far as endgame conditions or whatever between the 2-player game and the 4-player game. I don't know if that's going to change over time. However, all of the initial alpha testing, I'm considering this game in beta now. It's officially in beta. There is a print and play online if you are interested in giving it a try. But the beta version of this game, I don't anticipate much changing on the physical cards. My rules probably need some rewrites and revisions. At the very least, they'll need some clarifications. And then some of the overall rules of the game, like maybe the end game trigger, may need some tweaks based on player count or things of that nature. But that's build the robots. I don't know if you guys had any questions or anything, anything. I'm using the different resource cubes, and if you build the print and play, you'll need 1 money, 3 money, and then the yellow's plastic, and I use the black as steel. You don't probably need quite this many, however, I just like to go overboard when doing my prototypes. Why build the robots? Are you mean like the theme, or the just why build robots in general? Oh, the name Build the Robots. So, Build the Robots, there's an artist, a musician by the name of Dr. Steele. I don't think that he's actually releasing new content anymore. However, I suggest you look him up on YouTube. He's kind of like a steampunk, punk rock type act. But he has a song called Build the Robots, and it's a really, really catchy song, and it just kind of got stuck in my head one day. So I was sitting around, and I just kept thinking about building the robots. Like, that's the whole song is all about a mad scientist who wants to take over the world, and all he ever gets done is building robots or making money to build the robots so that he can take over the world. And that's kind of where the inspiration for the game came from. Like, you are a mad scientist who's quite capable of building robots, working your dead-end job every day, and you'd rather be doing something else. Robbing banks and destroying countries, yes. Like, he at one point complains about how he doesn't have enough money to afford the supplies to build robots, so he's going to have to hit up another bank in order to acquire the money for it. He's looking, primarily in the song, he's looking to conquer just North America. I ended up kind of taking it out to the whole world in this case, because if you're going to conquer civilization, why not conquer all of it? I believe in, international equality in the international market, so, why settle for a country or a continent when you could do the entire world? So yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for the game. That's where it came from. I'm not, like, how do I put it? Like, the theme is what inspired everything in it. The mechanics all came later. The mechanics, and I talk about this in a couple of other places, but the mechanics for the game, for the assembly line portion, actually came from my first game, Elements. So in Elements, whenever you would complete a formula, you would complete that formula, and you could put it either at the beginning or the end of your string of formulas, and whenever you complete a formula, you would trigger all of your formulas in order. And all of them would do various things, giving you victory points or tokens or whatever, allowing you to kind of chain together abilities to go in the direction you wanted. Well, it was the mechanic that just kind of showed up in Elements, like totally accidentally as we were playing. Like originally you could trigger your formulas whenever you wanted, and that proved to be too powerful, and then you only triggered it once when you first completed it, and that proved to be really anticlimactic. So we used that, where anytime you complete a formula, all of them trigger. However, in Elements, you could have up to like 7 in a big long string that would all trigger. So I was just sitting around one day, and I was trying to think of like what I could do, and one of my friends, one of my playtesters, actually came to me and said, "You know what? I've been thinking about that mechanic in Elements, and I'm wondering if it's like, it feels kind of like an assembly line to me." And suddenly everything clicked. Like the game idea I had from the song, Build the Robots, and then the actual, that's my son in the background. I'm going to have to go here in just a second. But the game idea, that came from the song, and then the mechanic idea actually came from one of my playtesters saying, "Hey, I really like this mechanic in Elements. Is there anything else you could do with it? Maybe a deck builder." Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. This is Build the Robots. Again, there's a print and play available if you guys want to get it or assemble it. And I'll answer any questions you have. I'll help you out with anything if it comes to that, and I'd really appreciate any feedback you guys have to offer. Anyway, thanks for tuning into my first ever Periscope, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Bye.